Hey guys, Doug here. Alright, so this video, I got something in the mail. A big box. Obviously from China. Came in through, bought these cells on AliExpress because I was curious in testing them out. So these are Sino USA cells, lithium iron phosphate. I'm excited to see these. All right. So, first thing I noticed, they're pretty well packaged. Lots of tape over the styrofoam. All right. Here we go. We got one. Looks pretty good. So we got the barcode on here and the barcode on here. So looks like these could be brand new cells. They were really cheap. So I took a chance. So let me get the other cells out and then we will test their voltages. That one looks good as well. I think that might be the bus bars. Hoping there's screws in this box. Let me get a second, get myself organized, and then I'll do the investigation. All right. Last one. 4 cells. They look newer. I'm looking for screws for this. Alright, there's none in there. There's none wrapped up in that. None in there. None in there. None in there. Okay. So I'll put that box off to the side. Put my 4 batteries right there. You see what I have in here. Alright, looks like the bus bars and screws are all in here. Make sure I keep these. So one of the first things I'm noticing is these bus bars. Extremely kind of thin. They bend very easily. But What can you do? So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check the voltage of each cell. All right, cell number 1, we're going to do 3.2, cell 2, 3.18, cell 3, 3.19, and cell 4, 3.25. All right, so they came at all different. All right, so they came at all different voltages. So, I am going to set these up to build them into a 12-volt battery. Alright, so got a BMS, I've got a Dally, 100 amp, discharge current, with balance. BMS, it's got common port, so that means that charge and discharge go through the same port. I made up the terminals for the balance leads. What we're going to do is we're going to secure these together. The only thing I have is tape, so that's what I'll be using. As soon as I find the tape.
Alright, now I know this isn't the best way of doing this, but it will work. Alright, so these guys are supposed to be, I believe, 80 amp hour cells. Got a really good deal on these, so I'm curious to see how they work out. Alright, so we got I'm not a big fan of these bus bars. This will be the main positive and the main negative. So, what I need to do is I need to put this BMS cables on. So, main negative. Then, put that there. Alright, I got that done. So now we'll go to the next one, which will go here. These screws and washers are so tiny. Alright, then take this one, and this is going to go over here.
this connected up, I had dropped a screw on the floor, and I do not have extra screws. I do have extra washers, so the washer I had just dropped isn't an issue for me. So I'm going to just apply this BMS lead to this side, and then put the battery negative on the negative terminal and power up the BMS. This is the battery negative here. So what I'm going to do, I'm not sure how I'm going to attach this. These aren't very big cells, so I bought this BMS for another project, and I never did that other project, so it became handy for this one. Alright, battery negative. So, since we're testing this as a 12-volt pack, I'm going to plug in the BMS. Hopefully, all's good. I'm going to get my multimeter here. Let's see if we are good to go. So I'll hold on to this and hit this. So we got 12.86 volts here. Let me, there you go, 12.86. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my X8 charger here. Let me get it powered up. I was using a different inverter for this. Let me go ahead and do the battery connections. That way I can give it a good charge with a balance. Got all four in there. forgot to attach the battery leads. Alright guys, so we got this 80 amp hour pack all charged up. So what I want to do is tidy up this BMS just a smidge. So I will do the same thing I did last time and use the tape. Alright. It's nice and tidied up on the bottom. Let me get the top, because that is important as well. Alright, so now the BMS is taped onto the cells. Pretty good, pretty sturdy. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this tool, my favorite little tester, to do a capacity test through the BMS. So, yeah. Trying to charge the capacitors now. It's interesting. Alright. So I get a reading currently on this of 13.5 volts. We haven't really pulled anything yet, so the amp hours are at 0. So I'm going to start the test. Alright, we're going to let that run for a while. And we'll be back and with the results. Alright guys, quick update. It's been steady at 12.9 volts. We've pulled 23.63 amp hours out of these cells. One thing that I'm concerned about is I was going through checking cell voltage. This very first cell here is at 3.29 volts. Then the next one is at 3.26. Next one's at 3.26. And the next one's at 3.27. Not sure why this one right here is a little higher than the rest. Overall pack voltage with the load on it right now at the battery cells is 13.08. With the multimeter. However, with the load on it, it's 12.9 with my tool here. So far it seems to be working pretty well. I'm going to let this run for a little while longer and see what this pulls. This is a low amperage test, so after this is done, I'll do a higher amperage test where I try to pull, 50, 60 amps out of it. The BMS can handle 100, so. The test with this device finished. And I don't know if y'all can see that. 72.97 amp hours from a 80 amp hour pack. So I'm not happy with that. So I'm going to charge this back up, and then we're going to do a different discharge test to see if these cells will put out the 80 amp hours they're rated for. So I'm back. It took me literally 2 days to get these cells balanced. Well, that, not because the cells were hard to balance. If I really wanted to take the time, I would have been able to do it in a day. Just life and everything. So now these cells, these 80 amp hour LifePo4 Prismatic cells are balanced. I've got an inverter here. It's not a pure sine wave. I don't have any 12 volt pure sine waves. I've got a shunt and a counter here. It's all zeroed out. I have the counter running on a separate 12 volt battery so that it stays active. I have a switch here to turn it on and off. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get this powered up, and then I'm going to test it using this light on the floor. It's about a 400 watt light, maybe 500. And I'm going to see what the capacity of these cells is now. So let me get that all set up. Get the capacitors all charged up in the inverter. Alright, so we're connected. Green light on the inverter. Connected to this. Take a voltage temperature with the multimeter with the correct multimeter. .2. All right, let me plug this in. now that the light is on. Sounded like this struggled just a tiny bit. We've got the amp hour capacity running. I'm going to get a amp reading. Says we're pulling 39 amps on the meter here. Not sure. Alright, I'm going to let this run for a while, and then I'll be back. Quick update. So this has been running for a little while now. We are, get this so you guys can see it. We are at 12.58 volts. We have currently pulled 53 amp hours, and we are currently pulling 40 amps out of the pack still. Running through this 750 watt 12 volt inverter to this halogen light. We're pulling a steady like 493 to 490 watts DC out of this pack. The BMS is a little bit warm, not anything concerning, but showing me that it is working, because I've had my doubts when this pack wasn't balancing in the beginning. So we'll check back when we get our total amp hour rating for these cells to see if we got good brand new cells or if they just repackaged some older cells. Alright guys, so we're currently still running. We are at 83, sorry. Apparently we hit 83.2 amp hours. I didn't realize the light just cut off. And we hit 1.01 kilowatt hours. You see that at the bottom there. So 83.2. That's much better than my first test. Balancing these made a big difference. So here's the other thing. Running through this test, got the cells up to 97.5. The BMS is up to 96, 95. Cable 76 degrees there. 77 on the red cable. 87 on the bus bar. 96.5 on the middle bus bar here. The middle cells are about 98 degrees. So I did a good test, heated them up a little bit. They did pull rated capacity in this test, which I'm very happy to see. These will go into a pack that I'm putting together that'll run 12 volt. May use this inverter. I've got to check into this inverter more. However, it did hold the capacity. It's got a red, I guess, under voltage power thing here. Oh, and if you just seen that, it restored voltage, is now pulling 527 watts again from the battery. I'm going to call this test complete. 83.2 amp hours, even though it's pulling a little more now. I'm going to get this thing on a charge and let it charge up real good. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my other videos.